Good morning. How are you doing? This is the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation this lovely Monday morning, the 27th day of September, 2021. We are on SpiceFM. We are live streaming the show from Nairobi to the world on SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. For example, how do you pronounce that name? There's somebody who says they're following us from South Africa. It's just scroll down a little bit. Very interesting name that you'll find there. You'll find it. As CT reads us today's proverb. We also welcome our audience on KT and home who are joining us now until the top of the hour. Today's proverb is a Luo proverb.
Yes. Ngamateko nyono kwesi meru. Meru emedhaogo. A strong man has stepped on your mother's pipe. It's your mother you quarrel with.
Ngamatek onyono kwesi meru. Meru.
Well, carry on.
I'm just doing it like though you do the other proverbs.
You're anglicizing it very well. Meru emedhaogo.
Meru emedhaogo.
Yes.
Yes. Say it in English.
A strong man has stepped on your mother's pipe. You blame your mother. I'm not saying you quarrel with your mother, but you blame your mother.
And the pipe here is a smoking pipe.
A smoking pipe, yes. The Luo community, pipe smoking was unisex. Men smoked pipe, as did women. And it was something you saw in older women. Yes. As I said, I had a great-grandmother who smoked a pipe.
Yeah, even my grandmother did. Yeah, she did. Yeah.
She smoked a pipe. Okay.
And then there's the modern-day cigarette, which is inverted. The lit part of the cigarette is actually in your mouth.
Yeah, which they
Yes.
Why is that though, City? I mean,
It is a unique
most
culture.
fascinating
It is
thing
a
I've ever
unique
seen.
cultural peculiarity. Unique to that particular part.
light a cigarette,
Yes.
put the lit part in the mouth.
That is
and then
precisely. Yes.
It's like
you don't even hold it.
Full
No, why
blast
hold
of-
it?
It stays in the mouth.
It says the mouth, the side of the mouth, okay? And then you puff it inward. You inhale it slightly, and then you exhale through the other side of the mouth.
It's,
Yes. To the technique.
that's the word I was looking for. It's a technique. It's fascinating to watch. I was
Yes.
quite impressed. I was a bit freaked out at the beginning because I wasn't quite sure what was happening. Then I realized, and I was told she's actually smoking a cigarette. And I was like, wow.
Have you seen what they do with the ashes?
Oh yeah, actually. What's
Well, all you do is you tilt your mouth slightly.
Yeah, and then they empty
and
the
you
drain.
blow it.
Yeah.
You just go, and then it goes up and continue.
That's fantastic.
so the ashes don't fall into the lip
No, they don't.
or the tongue?
No, they don't.
My science. Deep science. MP Richard Onyonka from Kitutu Chache. Kitutu Chache, South,
Yes.
is in
Which
the studio
means
today.
my constituency is actually part of Kisi Town.
This is a Kisii Town MP.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there another constituency that was also in Kisii Town?
Yes, Nyaribari Chache. Basically, the word Chache means that it is a place which is near a town center. And I'm sure you've heard they also have Nyaribari Masaba. And they also have Kitutu Masaba. Masaba means the area which is away from town. So you have Kitutu Chache, which is in near town, and Kitutu Masaba, which is away from town.
Now that yours is south, there's north.
Yes. North, when we realized that now it's without sounding a little crazy, there are two Kitutus. There is Kitutu Chache South and Kitutu Chache North, but you also have Kitutu Masaba, which is in Nyamira. So for us to get out of the confusion, we then left Kitutu Chache, which is in Kisii County, north and south, to remain that way.
Okay.
And the Kitutu Masaba to go to Nyamira. It's a very complex thing to explain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kisii is one county.
Yes.
Nyamira,
Nyamira is
the other
another county. Yes.
Now these two have the same community.
Yes.
This is the Abagusi.
Yes.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest
And
conversation.
if you were to spend a little bit of time, the constituencies are actually named after the clans.
Okay.
For example, Kitutu is one clan, Nyaribari is another. Bomachoge, which is a constituency, is another clan. Bonchari is another clan.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. And if you wanted to know just a little bit, Bonchari was the wife who was married by a Luo man who then got a child who was called Kitutu. Kitutu is the father of all the clans of Kisii.
I see.
So the Kisii community shares genealogical, historical, and ancestral relationship with the Luo community
Luo.
because we are actually children of the Luo father.
Bas.
Eric, just let me summarize it for you.
Same Meru.
Yes, I'm with my relative.
Bas, yes.
Yes.
You're in good company.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm talking to my
With my
relative.
uncle.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Bas.
He's my nephew's son.
Your
Yes.
nephew's son.
Yes.
Yeah. And that is why, Latif, you will find my name is Onyonka,
Yes.
but it's really a Luo name. It's Onyuka. That is why you'll have Kisis calling their children Ondieki, and yet it is Ondiek in Luo. You'll have my friends. I have a friend who's called James Ogutu, and in Luo it's Ogutu. One of my uncles is Fred Okumu. The Luos have a name Okumu.
Yes.
We are really
It's the same. It's the same people.
Yeah, same people.
Okay. So if we just then go with that.
Yes.
Recently, members of the Kisii community.
Yes.
And this is both from the two counties,
Yes.
Kisii and Nyamira.
Yes.
Came together. And when you came together, you said we want to speak with one voice.
Yes.
Why do you find it important to speak with one voice this time and not speaking with your voice of your uncles?
But Mheshimiwa,
Yes.
do you prefer to be called Kisii or the Abagusi?
The Abagusi. When you talk about Abagusi, it means you are talking about all of us as a unit.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, the other thing is when you say these are the Kisii, Kisii is a town. In fact, it's seen derogatory when you say these are Kisii.
These are Kisii.
So we prefer
These
when
are
you're saying
Omogusi.
this is Omogusi, this is one Kisii. And when you say Abagusi, you're talking about the larger family of the
Community. So the Abagusi community
Yes.
came together recently.
Yes.
Under the leadership of local MPs.
MPs and yeah.
Even some MPs from Nairobi.
Yes.
Like the MP
Simbarati
for
and the Nakuru MP. Yes.
nominated senator as well.
Yes.
The Millicent Omanga and others. And you said you want to speak with one voice.
Yes.
As a community.
Yes.
To see that your interests are catered for
Yes.
when it comes to 2022 general election.
True.
And then you even went further and said you want to form a political party.
If need be.
Or if need be.
Yes.
Why if need be?
Because we are being practical and realistic about what's going on. Now, Latif, I want, first of all, to give you a preamble of what really made us come to that conclusion.
Okay.
The Kisii community, the Gusii community, Abagusi, have always been, can I say, really, really democratic. In other words, you'll find, like I'm in Fort Kenya,
You're a Fort
and I'm the
Kenya
only MP. Then in Nyamira, you have one MP from Fort Kenya also. It's called Vincent Kemose. Then you now go and find that the same Kisii, the governor happens to be an ODM governor. The senator is an ODM senator. The women rep is senator, and they lost each and every MP.
So there's no ODM MP.
Except the by-election which came the other day after
Yes.
the Bonchari MP died. The Bonchari MP was on PDP. We have an independent guy, an independent candidate as an MP from Machoge. You have KNC, Member of Parliament. The gentleman, the young guy, Silvanus Osoro, is from Kenya Social Congress. I mean, it's a hodgepodge of everything. Number two, what we have learnt, and I can say that without fear of contradiction, is in Kenya politics is a very interesting, murky arrangement of self-communal interests, which as time has been passing out, and the best example is what has happened during the Jubilee government. Look at what Uhuru and William Ruto agreed on. They will share the cabinet, most probably, I think 51 to 49. Look at all the appointments that the deputy president got. At least to us, Uhuru was really a godsend because he was able to appoint one cabinet member from the Kisii community, and that is Fred Matiang'i. Kisiis previously have always had a hand in government, we would have about 3 members of the diplomatic corps, ambassadors. Now we only have 1. Parastatal heads, Kisis would have about 5, 6. I don't think we have any now. So what the reality that has dawned on many of us, we are saying, whoever that is going to seek the presidency of Kenya, we now accept that we are a tribal country. And we now accept that that may not necessarily be seen as a negative issue because we are not taking our tribalism as being negative ethnicity backgrounded.
Right.
What we are saying is we are an entity. It's like you saying, we as members of the Asian community feel that our interests, because we have invested heavily in Westlands, must be taken care of. We have an outfit which we are calling the Westlands Community Empowerment Group. Now, this is the group we want you to negotiate with.
But surely that must have been catalytic. Something must have happened to bring this about. Now, in my mind, there could be one of 2 things, and maybe you can deny or confirm that.
Yes.
So, is it, you've mentioned that there had been a time where the Abagusi were represented in government, represented in parastatals, in the foreign service, etc. But that number seems to have dwindled.
Yes.
Now, are you seeing that there has been a loss in terms of the potency of the community in these areas? Or are you seeing that other regions in the country are coming about and singing the same song? And then you're saying, we must also jump on this gravy train and not be left out. Which is it?
Actually, it's a very good question. It's double-faced. My answer would be yes. Everybody else is actually doing the same position. We are not reinventing the wheel. We are actually looking at the scenario that is mutating and masterizing itself in the Kenyan political matrix, and we have accepted it that if you are a politician, a practicing politician, how do you sit around and you see that guys from the northeastern and the ASAL areas, arid and semi-arid areas, have already come up with their outfit. You look and check, Kingi is coming up with the political party in the coast. There is a lot of friction between him and Joho because of that. But Kingi is saying, no. I think if we are able to negotiate this and have an outfit that we can negotiate with ODM or even negotiate with UDA, our interests might actually be taken care of better than they are right now. Now, when you come to our reality about Kisis not being in government or being in government, we are not removed from the reality. And that reality is that I could point it out today. The positions which the deputy president was given to appoint people, he appointed people from his own community. The people that Uhuru was appointing had a semblance of the Kenyanness. Had a semblance of, you had Matiang'i, you had Muthui Kagwe, yes, you had Amina Mohammed, you had that time Wahungu. Uhuru sort of tended to look at the nationalistic kilt for him to appoint his people. The question we are raising is, the Kenyan political arrangement can no longer be an arrangement where we talk about it's a gentleman's agreement. No, the Kenyan political arrangement has taken us back to the reality that we are saying now we must actually agree to negotiate on something which is tangible and which is acceptable. And the Constitution allows us to do that, because once we agree with whoever that is going to come up and negotiate with us, we can deposit this agreement with the registrar of political parties.
So you're essentially saying that you don't trust the individual who would be there to be able to do that?
Absolutely not. Kenyan politics, you can see. It's just full of snakes and ladders. You've seen that.
But then also, Mheshimiwa, this presupposes that communities have, before this, reaped from that demographic dividend.
Yes.
That you can say, because previously under the Moi era, under the Kibaki era, we had so many Kisis occupying positions.
That is true.
The ordinary Mkisi in your constituency would say, because we had...
Yes.
Because, for example, Richard Onyonka was an assistant minister for foreign affairs.
That is true.
We benefited.
It's true.
How did they benefit? by you, for example, serving as an assistant minister?
Thank you very much. That's a very good question. Let me tell you why. My having an opportunity to serve in government as a deputy minister in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which was during the coalition government with President Kibaki and Raila Odinga. Even when I may not have, for example, employed so many people from my constituency to become ambassadors and to get so many of them to be advantaged, I was the gatekeeper. I can tell you that during that time, the number of ambassadors that we had was not less than 6. During the coalition government of President Kibaki and Raila Odinga. And by the way, what actually happened, Latif, during that time, Raila gave us 3 ambassadors and Kibaki gave us 3. Now, the Kisii community has 1. So what happened? What happened is very simple. The current dispensation is the winner takes it all. So Uhuru came and Ruto, they took everything.
But you see,
and they left us empty-handed.
Those are 6 individuals,
Yes.
Mheshimiwa.
Yes.
How did the ordinary voter
Yes.
who had voted for Richard Onyonka
Yes.
benefit?
Politics is perception. Those 6 individuals, I can tell you how wonderfully they were received. We have got 9 constituencies in Kisii, and you have got 4 in Nyamira. 5 in Nyamira. If 6 individuals from the Kisii community, 4 got those jobs as ambassadors from Kisii, and 3 got from Nyamira, the community, the notion that we shouldn't, is the same argument I've heard people say, we should not be talking about positions because positions don't matter. Who said it? Then why are those positions there? There is a quantifiable relationship between an appointment of an individual from a certain community because he is given a responsibility to be a gatekeeper for that community.
Essentially, it's a representation at the big table.
Exactly. We were on the dining table. Whether it is an individual eating or the community is neither here nor there. What we are saying is...
Did you deliver? Did those, you plus the others,
Yes.
those in diplomatic appointments, those in cabinet, those in parastatals,
Yes.
did they deliver any meaningful change on the ground?
Some
Can
do,
we
some
say that
don't.
there are things that have happened?
I can tell you this, Latif. I was a deputy minister for foreign affairs. The number of kids during that time, I forget to use that name, and it sounds... The number of young people that I had an opportunity to facilitate for, who are either going to Dubai, who are going to Saudi Arabia, who are looking for scholarships. And when you are in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I'm sorry I have to say this, the ministry will receive maybe 20 scholarships from Finland. And you will find that because you are a gatekeeper, you are a deputy minister in that ministry, they will say, take 2. You remember I used to be a deputy to Moses Wetangula.
Yep.
As a deputy minister, Moses Wetangula went to China and he was given, there's a hospital called Mudete, I think Mudete or Madete in Bungoma. The hospital was built by the Chinese. They finished and funded it, and I think even right now they continue to maintain it. I went to Iran as an assistant minister of foreign affairs. The Iran government built me a school. If you go to Kisii, you'll find it. It's called Darajambili Secondary School. They brought prefabs. They put 40 computers in the school. They did classrooms for me. Isn't that worth it? Latif. That is what it is.
On the one hand, I can see
these positions.
The community that enjoys the school, I can see them enjoying the school. The question that I'm actually
Yes.
asking myself in my head is,
yes.
So was it through merit? Was it because this was the most needy part of this country that then got to enjoy this benevolence of the Iranian people?
Yes.
Or was it because the person who's making the decision is from this constituency and therefore he just basically decided this one is going to my place?
Eric,
All of the above.
Were you serving the people of Kenya or were you serving the people of Kenya?
Eric, first of all, politics is local. I took the food to the local. If I don't give my villagers that school, I'm as useless and as irrelevant as anybody who had never gotten that job. I mean...
I wanted to say this to Eric.
Yes, it.
And Eric understands this very well. Huh? The optics aside, the reality of politics is the representative value. Our son is in this position. That alone, the psychological effect of that is complete in itself, without any projects coming.
Absolutely.
That is our son who has that
Absolutely.
job done. Then what you're talking about is phase 2 or 3 or 4.
Phase 1 is local.
Yes.
Phase 2 is
Regional.
local at regional county level.
Yes.
Phase 3 is national at
Yes.
Kenyan level.
Let
me use this example, and it is so very personal for me. Without the coalition government, look at what had happened to the Nyanza region for 48 years. There was no road, there was no hospital, there was no water, there was nothing. After the coalition government, the projects being implemented today in Luo Nyanza and the Kisi area are projects which came after Raila had a handshake with President Kibaki, totaling close to 2,400 kilometers of tarmac road. That's the dividend that a local voter actually expects from you as a leader.
I think that's just a result of leadership. Because in the Moi era, we had very many powerful people from Nyanza who were serving that
and what
government.
did they do?
They
That's
were just
exactly what
they
I'm
were
saying.
Latif. They were just eating.
It's individual leadership.
They
It's
were
not about
they,
representation.
during the Moi regime, without casting aspersions on many of the people who were, because even my father was a cabinet minister in that regime.
Yeah.
If you look at what happened during the Moi regime and then talk about what happened during the Kibaki regime, it was the type of people, the caliber and the class of individuals. Kibaki's class and his ability, his professionalism and his intellect was at another level. You see, and if you see the projects which Kibaki did, I mean, Latif, we forget, how was Kisumu Airport looking like? It was like a ramshackle, two building, little ostrich keeping hut, where aeroplanes would come and land, and that was it.
Not aeroplanes. Teeny weeny
little
aeroplanes.
hard-wing little
Some
things.
Tweeterbird type aeroplanes.
Exactly.
In the studio is Richard Onyonka, MP, Kitutu Chache South. So leaders from the Abagusi community have come together and they said we want to negotiate as a community.
Yes.
We have seen the same happen with those from the arid and semi-arid lands of Kenya. We have
Yes.
seen the same happen with Western leaders,
Yes.
the Luhya community.
Yes.
Coast is doing the same. Mount
Yes.
Kenya even have a list of what they are demanding.
Yes.
Now, are we breaking this country into those regional and tribal groupings and saying that this is what our demand is? And what's going to happen to the smaller communities? We're discussing ethno-nationalism today. We are seeing regions, tribes, tribal leaders coming together and saying, we as a community are coming together and this is what we're going to negotiate with anybody who wants to get our support. The Abagusi community, as per the last general election, you had over 800,000 votes. Yes. Now, if you talk about the Abagusi community from both Kisii, Nyamira, and the diaspora, that goes to close to 1 million votes. So that is one group coming together as a block and saying, look, we've got the power. Then the Luo will come together and say, we've got the power. Now, the smaller groups in Nyanza, where are they going to go?
The smaller groups will go where they will feel they are going to be accommodated. I'll give you an example. The Kuria community, which happens to be a minority community in Nyanza, as an option of either sticking it out with ODM, or they have an option of now, you notice that Obado has actually picked a party called PDP, and he has told them now, you can come and join us in PDP, and then we'll link up with UDA. This whole scenario is not supposed to be mutually exclusive. For me, this whole arrangement is actually preparing grounds for us to have a mutually inclusive country, which is based on a people who have got exclusive issues which have to be weighted on and have to be accepted. Because in Kenya, we've been pretending that we are a nation. And then what happens?
Have we?
We have been. Honestly, that is the problem we have.
So when you call ourselves a nation,
We are
One
a country
indivisible
of
nation.
small nation states
all right.
that are tribally based. And this is the reality we have refused to accept. And I can give you an example. How many tribes do we have in Kenya officially?
44, 45.
45. The last ones towards the end are who and who? Right, we have the Asian
We've
community.
got the Asian community, and we've
Yeah.
got the...
We have the Ogiek.
No.
There's
They
the two
came
tribes.
earlier.
Yes.
There's the two tribes, the ones from Mozambique.
Yes, the ones from at coast, the ones who have just been made
Yes.
Kenyans.
Then the Zimbabweans.
Then the
Yes,
Zimbabweans.
I'm trying to remember the.
Exactly. Now, let me tell you why I'm raising that issue.
Minorities by
Yes.
their own numbers.
How many Asians have you seen in government? How many of those people have you seen? If I give you an example, I come from Kisii County. There is Kisumu County. How many, and Migori County? I live in Trans Nzoia because of farming interest there. How many Kisis do you find in Trans Nzoia County? None. Not even a single one who's a cleaner. None. And we have laws in the books which say, 30% should be other Kenyans, they should be included. We want a country that is going to ignore negative ethnicity. We are an ethnic based community. The only people who are not tribal right now are our children who are actually 10 to 15, maybe 20 years now. Why? Because most of us are not married from our tribes. The children have moved on social media into their own world, which is European-based European ethno-cultural environments. But anybody who's around the age of 30 and above, we are completely tribalized.
And is there something wrong with that?
There's absolutely nothing.
The way in which you're speaking is
Yes.
that you're almost encouraging
Yes.
that you take pride or push for
Yes.
the wants and desires of a certain community. So always tribalism,
Yes.
being tribal, has
Yes.
had a negative tag.
No,
It has.
no, it hasn't.
It has had a thing. When people think about tribe in this country, everybody a lot of people kind of cringe. Like, okay, we don't really want to talk
There's
about
been
it.
No, can I ask you a
saying-
question?
Are you saying that
Yes.
there's nothing wrong
Yes.
with being tribal, to push for the wants and desires of your certain community, and it shouldn't be seen as wanting to balkanize the country?
No, absolutely none. I'm Kisii. I work hard like hell. Kisis run all the matatus everywhere they can. Kisis love to go and excel. When we are given an opportunity, we grab it. We will go anywhere, go to the US, go to South Africa. They are all over the place. What we are saying is we don't want this ethnicity of ours to impede other people's ethnicity. We want to acknowledge who we are. Look at what the Somali community has done in our country. They moved in. They are now controlling the fuel sector. All right. They observe the law. They are religiously based. They are not interfering with them. You go to the Somali community. They are in Kisii and they are running businesses up to the local enclaves. Uko kwa mashinani. And Kisis are very comfortable with it. Why? They don't interfere with polygamy. They don't interfere with drinking alcohol. They don't come and start telling us you must become Muslim. We are comfortable with them. And once we accept, instead of us, having these statements of the under the table statements, unajua siku hizi hao Somali wamechukua kila kitu. Wachana na hiyo story. What we are saying is accept the Somali community as a people who are working hard, who have targeted certain industries in Kenya, and they have moved into that industry and learned something out of it. Now, the moment we accept that is how we are going to see each other, our position is very simple. Allow me to set up an outfit which then can negotiate, sign an agreement with the Somali community politically. I want to sign an agreement with Baba. Yes, Baba will vote for you. Raila is the most popular candidate in Kisii, but we want him to put it on pen and paper what he'll do for the community. If William comes and offers us more and something better, and we see that the politics is going to be veered towards him becoming president, we'll take it.
Where does nationalism play in all of this?
Nationalism comes after now we have come out as these tribal enclaves and tribal arrangements, and we're all together. Now we respect each other by signing a nationalistic agreement of saying, now you accept me, I accept you. You don't accept me, you can go to hell.
Actually, if you look at the so-called developed countries and the national outlook that they have, it arises out of these quiet understandings between the various communities. They don't call them tribes, but they're communities. If you are talking, for instance, let's say America.
Go to Switzerland.
Yes.
The cantons.
Yes.
They're tribally based.
They are tribally based.
You have cantons in Switzerland where you have French cantons, you have German cantons. They
Italians.
fought for 150 years. Finally, they said, now let's agree. We live and have a rotation of presidency.
Right.
Let us now agree. And in fact, by the way, Latif, me, I've been saying the reason why I was having sometimes call feed with BBI, we must begin to discuss the question of rotation of presidents in this country.
How does this whole conversation take care of the minorities? Actually, now we're talking about the minority, the new tribes in the country, Makonde and the Shona. The Shona were the very latest.
Yes.
Thank you.
How do we take care of the Shona and the Makonde and make sure that the Shona and the Makonde also have representation at the national level? When the big boys, 800,000, 1 million, 4 million, 5 million votes, are the ones that are negotiating, how are we going to make sure that the smaller ones also have a say?
Eric, beyond being citizens of Kenya and enjoying the benefits other citizens have, if by representation you're saying, will you have a Shona as a minister?
Yes.
If there's somebody who's a Shona
And he is qualified.
and he has caught the eye of some politician, maybe, but
They may not. You know why?
yes.
Because the president will have negotiated with Richard Onyonka here, and Richard will have said we want 2 cabinet slots.
Who has a bigger pie?
Moses Kuria and Martha Karua with the Mount Kenya will have said we want 4 cabinet slots. Amason Kingi and the coastal people will have said we want X number of cabinet slots. The Shona, how
They've
many
not
votes are
even
you
started
bringing to
having
the
the
table?
conversation
Eric, let me
yet.
give you an example. Mheshimiwa gave an example of Migori County. Now, you're talking about the minority, the Kuria,
Yeah.
right? The first government of Obado, his deputy was a Kuria.
Yep.
His senator was Kuria. The women rep was
Kuria.
Kuria. Now, tell me, if you're talking about representation or a smaller community having more share, the Luos in Migori said, surely, but
Giving everything
you've
to
given
the
away
minority.
everything. Now, what am I saying? Communities understand this balance. You know, there's the assumption that people don't understand that those who may not be numerically superior have a say or a voice. Mheshimiwa will bear me witness. You will find that even within Kisii County, okay,
We have minorities.
who are given positions
Yes.
and they are considered. It is said, this community, they may be few, but they're with us. I am saying
He
this.
has just given us an example
Yes.
of Trans Nzoia, where there's a substantial number of Kisis.
Yes.
And he says in the Trans Nzoia county government, he does not see the Kisis working there, despite the law setting aside 30% to be from minorities.
Yes.
Yes, it is true that happens.
Yes.
It is true, but remember Trans Nzoia again is a hodgepodge. It is not as though there's
It has
one.
many
One
minorities.
community.
Yes, it
You
is
have
not. It's
the
not. There's no
Kikuyu
one
nation,
dominant
you have the
community in Trans
West
Nzoia.
Pokot, you have the Kalenjin, you have the domineering community is the Luya community. I mean the Bukusu community.
Yes.
But the point that I wanted to mention, as
City
was talking, that is what we are saying. I would want the presidential candidates, instead of them talking about this nonsense they're talking about all the time, I want some of them to be realistic and honest and say, in fact, when I become president, the percentage of positions and endowment that I will leave for the Marakwet, or I will leave for the Ogiek, or I will leave for the people in Coast who are from Namibia, will be 5% or 1% of my total cabinet. Deliberately, we will have an affirmative action. Those are the things we want to listen to. That is how you are going to know that this presidential candidate is actually different from the normal. I have not had any presidential candidate talk about what are they going to do with women empowerment. We just lie about it. We've been in parliament. I've been in parliament for 15 years. We have been unable to pass the gender law. And yet no presidential candidate is talking about it now. Because we are fake. We don't like to face it the way it is. The truth is, all the men refuse to vote for that law. The men feel that they are under siege.
Right.
When their leaders, when the leaders tell us that to go and vote for that thing, they tell us, in fact, some of you can even go to Europe. Kwani, what's the problem?
The answer to some of these things that we're talking about right now then
Yes.
is affirmative action. If we're trying to look at gender balance in this country, it's affirmative action. If we're trying to look at the,
Minority empowerment?
the proper balance of power
Is affirmative
in
action.
terms of communities and minorities and tribes across the country,
Yes.
it's affirmative action. Looking at things like a rotational presidency,
Yes.
for example, or looking at a predetermined selection of who is going to form government.
Absolutely.
If it doesn't happen, we're going to continue having the problems that we have today. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that at least we will have the reality of accepting what our challenges are. Look, let me use another example so that you understand where I'm coming from. For the last 30 years, teachers refused delocalization. That is transferring teachers from the local districts and local communities where they are teachers, transferring them to areas far away from their communities. Do you know how popular delocalization is now? The teacher saying, oh my God, I didn't know that I can go to Kiambu from Kisii and actually do the job I was meant to do. Actually learn that members of this community are as human as the ones where I was fighting to stay in my local community. We are in a way deliberately reducing the amount of tribalism that is so percolated in our country. We need to have systems and structures being changed in our country so that we can actually now begin to say we are Kenyans. We are only Kenyans when our people are running in Doha, and we are clapping when they are number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and maybe when our ambassadors has won a game. After that, we are just a colloquialized, tribalized community of small nation states who have their own personal interests and communal interests which they are fighting for.
You know, Mheshimiwa, everything that you're saying is something that was our reality not very long ago. Meaning, if you finished tertiary education or some training,
yes,
you are never posted to your home area.
Absolutely.
It was a rule.
When you finished Form 1, you are going to Form 1. You can't be posted to your local area. I went to St. Mary's Yala. Look at me. I'm a complete Kenyan. I speak Luo. I love Luo food. I have Luo friends. It changed me. Then what do we do now?
But you want the Kisii to be considered?
No, being a Kisii is a position that I've accepted because I was born there and I've faced my realities. But I'm very comfortable. I'm very comfortable voting for Raila. I understand where his politics come from. I understand what the Luo community's dreams and aspirations have been. I understand. Even when I know that the Kisii community also has dreams and it has aspirations, it is because I went to school in Luo and my classmates in Kisii school, all of them were Luo. They changed my perception of life and my politics and my history. And yet, what are we doing? In Kenya, we are back onto our employment. We say, no, we are a wonderful Kenyan country. In fact, we have no tribalism. I always see the deputy government saying, I'm going to have a party that doesn't believe in tribalism. Shut up. Just face the reality. We're a tribal country with small nation tribal states. Let's work out on ourselves so that then we can mutually finally agree that now we can fix the mess.
As an experienced national leader, Richard,
Yes.
and I'm listening to you and I'm wondering, all right, so 15 years as a national leader, you grew up in a political family. Your father was a politician, a cabinet minister in this country. As somebody who has seen all that politics, national politics,
Yes.
is this a good direction to take or is this a negative direction to take? What are the pitfalls? What are the positives? And what are the likely dangerous negatives?
Positives are very simple. I'll use an example. You go to Western Kenya, they have Ford Kenya, which is a Bukusu party, and you have ANC, which is a Maragoli party. They, using their tribal nationalism, they have kinda managed to achieve the purpose. You see, when you have elections, then you win a majority of certain seats, whether it's MCAs, whether it's members of parliament, then you have those nominations, the positions that everybody keeps saying that we are not looking for positions. UDA is looking for positions. If they won under 160 members of parliament, they will nominate 30. If they had 2,000 MCAs, they will nominate 1,100. That is what they're looking for as a bloc. ODM has actually, if you look at the question, even Jubilee, they managed to percolate away from the tribal thing of the party being a Kikuyu versus Kalenjin thing. And they had members of parliament from Kisii, they had members of parliament in Western, and all that. That is the ideal situation. But we are not in an ideal situation. And especially when you have the national cake shrinking, then everybody begins to worry about, and what are we getting? So don't ask me to be nationalistic so that I don't talk about how I want the cake to be shared more effectively and more conveniently for all of us. The disadvantage, of course, is then you build an inward-looking tribal outfit, which then becomes the nationalistic tribal thing, where you can actually tell your people and say, these are the people who have Sumbuad. I mean, you've seen. where some people are talking about, oh, you see, we now must start looking at historical injustices about our land. We need to discuss the issue of certain communities who took our ancestral land and they have taken our things. We need to discuss about our minerals. And the reality of that is simply because we are refusing to accept that for you to solve the problem of Turkana, and the Turkanas talking about the Kenyan oil, which we are so proud of, which we've never seen, allow the Turkanas to sit with you and say, you as a tribe, we will allow you to keep your 20%. Please don't touch the 80%, because at the national level, that's what we see. You as a community, do not discuss with us and tell us how you are going to kick us out of your ancestral lands. Because when some of this land, we were actually buying it, we didn't even know, because these were legally available pieces of land. So the historical injustices that have made certain communities pull back to their tribal cocoons and set up these arrangements, including political parties, to defend their interests is not necessarily bad.
Sure, but is it not then dangerous, Richard, when they stay in those cocoons? Because this is I part of me can see what you're saying in terms of protecting those. But I see the danger then, whereby you're then developing your communities or developing these cocoons, as you call them, and then staying there and forgetting then about the nationalism, the unification of a country, which we cannot forget its importance.
The fights that we had in 2007 were not tribal. No. If you set up a structure, political and legal, which is believable, which is effective, and a structure for elections which is fair and okay, and then you begin to deal with the outstanding issues in this country legitimately. All right, I saw Musalia Mudavadi talk about, let us go to the Ngundungu report and all this TJRC. All right, the truth is, you may not solve all the problems in the TJRC, including all the land, the historical injustice on the land issue, but shouldn't we talk about it?
We should.
It's important to.
Shouldn't we?
Absolutely.
Shouldn't we look at it so that we don't every day have issues where the Maasai community, where Kisis have moved into Samburu area, the place where in Laikipia, and they are being beaten up because they belong to another tribe, and these are people who just went and bought land. They didn't even know who the owner was. All right. Shouldn't we be dealing with issues because we are sick? When you're sick, please look for a doctor and get good medicine. First of all, get a diagnosis.
But
Can't we get the
Accept that you're
diagnosis?
sick. Richard Onyonka, MP, Kitutu, Chache South, on SpiceFM and online, SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. SpiceFM is 94.4 in Nairobi, Mombasa, 87.9, Kisumu, 102.5, Nakuru, 96.0, 96.7 in Eldoret, Nyeri is 90.9, Malindi, 97.7.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.